Hello and welcome to the Video Game Book Club for the month of September 2021, right? This is that month, right? Yes.
Yes, it is still September, although it's hotter than Hades outside.
This month we read Assassin's Creed Odyssey by Gordon Dorothy.
Doherty.
Sorry, Doherty. This is our first novelization episode. It's not a prequel or a sequel or a spin-off. It's straight up just the story that the game told with some changes to it.
It's the official novelization based on the popular video game franchise.
What does the back say?
They call her Misthios, mercenary, and she will take what she is owed. Cassandra was raised by her parents to be a fierce and uncaring, the ideal Spartan child, destined for greatness. But when a terrible tragedy leaves her stranded on the island of Kefalonia, near Greece, she decides to work as a mercenary, away from the constraints of Sparta. Many years later, Cassandra is plagued by debt and living under the shadow of a tyrant while a mysterious stranger offers her a deal. Assassinate the wolf, a renowned Spartan general, and he will wipe her debt clean. The offer is simple, but the task is not, as she will need to infiltrate the war between Athens and Sparta to succeed. Cassandra's Odyssey takes her behind enemy lines, and among uncertain allies, a web of conspiracy threatens her life, and she must cut down the enemies that surround her to get the truth. Luckily, a Spartan's blade is always sharp.
So, as you can probably tell, this follows the Cassandra route.
The best route.
And not the Alexios route, which, I mean, the routes are like the same, pretty much.
Yes.
So, do you think that this is true canon? Like, this is the canon of Assassin's Creed, what actually happened?
In the game? For the most part.
Well, do you think that all, like, novelizations of books from, like, games or, like, movies and stuff are the canon?
Yeah, yes, because they're the retelling of the story. So you have the same characters, they have the same dialogue. So I would say this is the main canon.
If no one knows what canon is, because sometimes that happens, it's the like true story. It's what the sequel would go off of, basically. I think is what canon really is.
It's like, does it come from like the original source, or is it like some offshoot fan fiction?
Does it come from the original source? And I don't know. I don't really care for canon. If I'm being honest with you.
Tell me how you really feel.
I heard for this like Star Wars novelizations that the official stance is that it's canon only where it coincides with the film. And I heard that was true for Assassin's Creed novels in the past, like the other books besides this one, because those ones didn't have choices like this game does. This game lets you pick characters and it lets you make decisions, which the other ones kind of just like dragged you along.
You have a storyline that you have to follow. It is like Assassin's Creed itself, where like these people have lived before, and so you cannot change their actions. But because Cassandra is divine,
it's a little more tricky to write books where you give the player, based on games where the player has a lot more choice, especially if you're gonna make a sequel too, because then that can, I think the best option is like what's the most popular choice that people made and just go off of that. I don't care about canon because I believe whatever you want. Just don't put anyone else down who believes differently. Because I know, I'd feel bad if somebody played Assassin's Creed Odyssey and they played as Alexios and then they were like, I love this game, I want to read the book. And then they go get the book and they're like,
Pete's demo.
That's not how I played my game. And then Ubisoft is like, well, too bad, this is the novelization, this is the truth, my dude. And I feel like that's sad. Like,
I mean, we played, or at least we played as Cassandra, and then I played a little bit as Alexios, and it's pretty similar. Like, you can romance the same people.
Yeah.
It's the same, like, storyline.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel bad. Like, a lot of times when I see games that you can pick a gender and the gender normally ends up being the dude, I feel sad. You know what I mean? And so I feel this way vice versa, right? I'm like, well, that's not your story, and that makes me sad, but That's what Assassin's Creed said. It is Cassandra. And I think that was true for the creation of this game, right? Weren't they originally gonna have a female protagonist, and then like a whole thing went about, and there was like controversy because people at Ubisoft were like, "Oh, it's so hard to animate females" or something like that.
Well, the Assassin's Creed Odyssey is the second game of the reboot, although it takes place before Origins does. And in Origins, you do get to play for a very short amount of time as his Bike's wife, but it's super short. Bike Asiwa is the protagonist of Origins, which was the first game of the Assassin's Creed reboot. But so you get to play as his wife for a very short amount of time, and that was popular. And so I think they originally wanted to have a
People
female.
have been asking for a female assassin for a long time. They had one in the China PSP game.
We've been teased several times with female assassin characters, but we haven't really, except for like, I guess Layla's technically an assassin, and she's the modern day.
And Syndicate had a brother and sister.
Yeah.
But it's both. You have to share the spotlight, you know?
Well, Unity, you have, I mean, she's a Templar, but she helps out.
Canon be canon. Canon be damned. If you like canon, good for you. I'm not gonna let you believe whatever you want.
But saying that, I don't know, personal, like, we like playing as female characters because
I'm a female and I
Yes.
would like to play and pretend like they're me.
and it's rare that we get to do that. So any opportunity that we can play as a lady, we take it. But playing as both Alexos and Cassandra, I do have to say I enjoyed it a lot. I think performance-wise, better to play as Cassandra. Not to downplay Alexios, but the voice actor, I felt like, did a better job as the villain than the hero.
I thought Cassandra made a pretty good villain
She
too.
did.
She's scary.
She's pretty badass. So.
Would you recommend reading this book?
Excuse me. So the review that I gave on Goodreads was, I recommend reading this book if you have not played and are not going to play.
Really? The thing I read was like, you should read this book after you played the game.
Well, because there are spoilers.
Yes.
So if you are planning on playing the game I would not read this book first, because there are events in the book that I feel like were better in the game than to just read them.
There's some things I think in the book that I kind of liked better that I'll get into in the spoiler section of this podcast.
But part of it, I think, is you don't get as attached to the characters in the book as you do in the game.
Well, you'll spend more time in the game.
Yeah, you spend more time with them, and so they develop a lot more, and so that a lot adds to a little bit more attachment.
I don't think I don't know if I'd recommend reading this book. If I'm being honest,
It's
Gordon
Doherty
book.
He writes very well. There's a lot of detail. The issue, I feel like, and I don't feel like it's his fault, is that there's a lot of stuff that happens in this game. I spent a lot of time on this game because I did all the DLCs. Actually, this is one of the rare games that I actually 100%ed. So I spent a lot of time in Odyssey. And to write a book this book is 363 pages, and that does not even cover the amount of time I spent reading this versus the amount of time I spent playing is vastly different.
Do you think those who had not played Odyssey would struggle with this book?
No.
There's a glossary in the back.
There's some terminology that you might not know, and so that's the glossary is in the back. Like
glossary, what's it called?
There's an index.
There's a list of characters.
There's a character index, and then there's like a glossary of foreign terms.
Yes.
Like Mythios, for most people, you wouldn't know what that was, but
They say it all the time.
yes, because that's what she is. She's a hired mercenary. So Mythios is just a mercenary.
Malacus.
Oh, that's a
They say that all
curse
the time.
word.
The only curse word they ever say.
Mm-hmm.
That's not even true though. In this book, they say a lot more curse
Yeah,
words.
yes, they do.
But in the game, they only say that one like all the time.
Well, that's because that's Greek. The other ones are English.
So I want to let everyone know, if you're paying attention to multiple podcasts and last week when I said I would finish the game, and Elise was like, "Good luck with that."
It takes
I did it.
forever.
I finished the game at 91% because I didn't finish the cultist storyline and kill all the cultists, so I just watched that one online.
Yeah, you have to. There's a bunch of them on boats that you have to find.
I had like 4 left.
And so honestly, that's one of my pet peeves with this game was to find the clues of the like scrolls of Cosmos.
Yeah,
I have been to all of those places several times, but it's only until you unlock something in the game that freaking scroll is there and tells you where these people are.
And one of them,
I'm so mad I had to go back so many times.
Stuff from blacksmiths and like
yeah, or you
in the water, and it's like, oh my gosh. So
in Valhalla you had to beat them at a like the dice game, so at least you didn't have to do that in this one.
I would like to say I'm very proud of myself. I did it. Odyssey's done with. But playing,
that's what you think, because there are 3 DLCs.
I'm not playing the
DLCs are actually pretty good. They extend the storyline because the game doesn't really end unless you get the DLCs.
There's no credits. I think I was gonna say, oh yeah, I'm still proud of myself though.
That's a lot of time.
It's a lot
to put into that game.
Hours in a month.
Yeah,
finishing that game.
It's a long. It's definitely worth
but
the
it was
price.
Fun. It was fun. Like I liked it. Mm-hmm. I think the second storyline is better. But...
I do have to say. So I like out of the 3 Origins, Odyssey, and Valhalla now, Bayaka Siwa is still like my favorite assassin. But Leia, her name's Leia, right? What's her name?
I don't know. I don't actually remember her name.
I think it's something like that. She is so annoying in this game.
Is that the modern day lady?
Yes.
Okay. So the new Desmond Miles, the modern day. I know this is confusing for anyone who has not played Assassin's Creed.
Wait, if you have not played Assassin's Creed, the thing about Assassin's Creed is like we have the DNA from us holds the path to our ancestors. And so they created the Animus, which you use the DNA then to go back. It's like virtual reality, but you don't really have control to live your ancestors' lives. And then in the reboot, they've discovered a way to do it with anyone's DNA. So you can then relive anyone's past.
But you don't, that's not in this book at all. So
no, she is not in the book. It's just the story of Cassandra. So you don't get any of the modern day assassins and Templar things. No, which I'm kind of okay with.
Yeah, it's fine.
She super annoyed me in this game.
It was very short segments that felt weird. Like, I always wondered, when am I going to get back to the modern world? Because I remember playing the first one, and that happened like every story beat. Yeah. You would go back. And so when I did a major story beat, I was like, are we still in the Animus, or am I just stuck here forever?
Stuck there forever.
I thought that this book is a little more sexist than the game, if I'm being honest. I played them side by side. I would listen to it, and then I'd play the game. So, like, the same events were happening. And, like, they called her a bitch a lot. I think I only heard that once in the game. She came to Athens, and they were like, oh, you came to Athens without a mail. That's bad. You could be arrested, and that never happened in the game.
So, I mean, that wouldn't have happened in ancient Greece either, but...
calls her a whore?
Yeah.
And Cassandra was forced upon by a Spartan early on, and there's a lot of stuff that I was like, oh.
Yeah. Because historically, even though ancient Greece... is very sexist. Spartan women were still badass, and like they'd kick your butt.
Yeah, but you know, I'm reading an Assassin's Creed novel. I don't really want that historical accuracy.
No, you actually really don't. So Spartan women weren't actually part of the war force. And so, but like Spartan women were still tough, but they weren't going to battle. She wouldn't have been a Misthios in. That's still a dude thing.
Boo. Boo the past.
But Spartan women were known to have way more freedoms than Athenian women. Athenian women were still kind of considered property. And just from a historical point of view, this book is largely based on the events of the Peloponnesian War, which is the war between Sparta and Athens. It was an actual event. Thucydides is mentioned several times in here, and he writes the story of the Peloponnesian War. He was a general of the Athens side, and he gets demoted because he lost one of his battles, which they do talk about in the book. Socrates is in here, as well as Herodotus.
Herodotus.
Yes, if you play the game it's Herodotus.
It's
They also
funner to
talk
say
about
that way.
Pythagoras, which for us, you may have heard of the Pythagorean
Pythagoras.
theorem.
Yeah.
So they call
They
him
said it and I
Pythagoras.
was like, is that the math guy?
That's the math guy. So there are several people that you may have remembered from your time in school, or they are real people. They are of this time period, and we do get to see them. It's Creon, right? Or no, Cleon.
Cleon.
So sorry,
Well, the cool thing. Okay. Well, I'll get
Creon's
into it.
a
Never mind.
character from the play from Antigone, which the author
He is.
the author of that play is also one of the characters in this book.
I had to read Antigone in school.
Yeah, I just taught it to my students. But so again, these are all Brasidas. These are all people that are mentioned in Thucydides' Peloponnesian War. So the actual events that Cassandra fights her way through. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, that is pretty cool. Did you ever do the Assassin's Creed like history tour?
Yes,
thing?
we show it actually to our students.
Did you do it for Odyssey?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How is it?
It's cool because so one of the cool things about Ubisoft is they actually hire historians, and so when you are getting the different armor and when they recreated Athens, they and Delphi actually as well, where you go see the Oracle. That is a recreation of those actual cities, and they talk about
We saw the Oracle.
Mm-hmm. We did. We went to Delphi.
Ate the best ice cream of my life there.
Oh, so good. Always put honey on your ice cream.
It's so good.
But they recreate the cities, and they look at the types of materials that they used. Obviously, a lot of it's really closer together time-wise for the game, but it is what Athens would have actually looked like, and as well as what Delphi would have actually looked like. That's pretty cool.
That's pretty cool.
If you've never seen it, I think it's on YouTube.
It is?
Yeah. You can go, and it's the Discovery Tour. They do it for a couple of the different games, but they put a lot of time into recreating the worlds that we visit. And so it's cool to see. You basically go and see it without any of the characters in it, and it like they zoom you through the city. So it's pretty cool.
I used to, when we first, and it's kind of like turning into a review of the game a little bit, but when I first played it, I felt like everything looked the same, but the more you play it, the more like you see, they have like big statues that are kind of like markers, and stuff, and it's all different and cool, and yeah, I think that game is really impressive.
The Minotaur.
Oh my god, that island was so funny.
So Crete, and also I don't know if that was
the best island.
I definitely gave him money for that scam. But when you go into all the underground temples, the artwork on the side, that actually is actual artwork that comes from the people that lived in Crete before the Mayans.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah. So and people of Crete, for just a fun fact, they had indoor plumbing.
Wow.
So like thousands of years ago, there was a thing called indoor plumbing that somehow we lost that technology.
What the heck?
I know.
At least we got it back. So enough of our gushing about the game. We're here to talk about the book.
Yes, let's go back to the book.
I would like to talk about my audiobook kerfuffle that let me have a moment. So there is an audiobook, but us peoples in North America can't acquire it by any means at all.
She tried so hard.
I didn't want to buy a VPN. It's not available anywhere online. I tried to purchase it. I think
it was only available in England, right?
It's only available in England. I asked a friend who has parents in England, hey, can you get me this? And they were like, no. So, then I tried a bunch of text-to-speech apps. And with my Kindle app, because I bought it online on my Kindle, and because they took away the text-to-speech service for Kindle. They used to have it on the app, and they took it away. For some reason, I don't know why, I actually asked Amazon, and they were like, I don't know why it's gone. All the text-to-speech extensions that you can get for, like, Chrome and stuff, it either costs money monthly, or it doesn't work with Kindle Cloud Reader because of, like, the DRMs.
Oh.
So, hot tip. Here's my tip for all you audio prefers out there. If you manage to get a PDF of the book and you open it on Microsoft Edge, there's a great text to speech reader just already in Microsoft Edge.
Didn't you say you could change like the voices?
You can change the voice. There's a whole bunch of voices on the Microsoft Edge text to speech reader, and the one I picked, she was pretty good. She definitely messed up names because she's a robot, but it was kind of funny.
It's like when your GPS can't
Like
properly
Hercules and
Pericles
and stuff like that. So yeah, just open the PDF in Edge and then you right click and you read aloud, and that's all you use Microsoft Edge for is my new text to speech reader.
Which is honestly, it's super odd considering how important accessibility is to Ubisoft.
I thought Ubisoft was all about accessibility,
and that
maybe that's a new thing, and they weren't into it in Odyssey times. Why can't I buy their audiobooks like on their website? Because I don't even know I can buy.
They are from Ubisoft, aren't they? Yeah. They're part. So it's Penguin, but which I'm surprised because Penguin is super big on Penguin Random House is the actual publisher of it, and Ubisoft is part of that. But they're really big on accessibility as well and getting audiobooks out there. So that is odd.
Same with the Origins book. Yeah. I can't. It's the same. And what's funny is you can get all the other Assassin's Creed novels, but that was written by a different dude. I think his name was like Oliver or something. And he put all his online, and you can get the audiobooks. You can buy those on Audible, like no problem. But it's the two newest ones written by different people, this one and Origins, that is just not available in the US, which is super weird. I went through a whole conspiracy. It took me like half a month of me just trying out text to speech, trying to figure it out, trying to get a PDF of the book. But just so everyone knows, I bought it, so...
Yes.
It's my book. I bought it. I did everything right. Text to speech should be available for all without payment.
Yes.
Is the moral of that story.
Accessibility is important.
Yeah, like what if I can't read really well or something? Like and I wanted to read the Assassin's Creed Odyssey book. I guess I'm just out of luck. Like that was
find a friend to read it to you.
I guess. That seems like more work. Yeah. Hey, I'll give you money if you read me this book out loud. I'll sit there and
I'll enjoy books together.
Listening to it.
Well, you curse in Greek.
Malakas. Okay, so we're gonna
dive in. So if you are not interested, and yes,
whole book.
Because this is the main storyline of the game and it has important points in it. So if you have not played the game yet and do not want to be spoiled, or if you were planning on reading this book, you can pause now and then come back to us later and see.
Or you could just read this book or listen to us tell you the story and then pretend like you played the game since it's like over 100 hours. And you'll know all the story points. So
I'm impressed that you finished it in a month though, because I think it took me like 3 months.
It was painful. I went really hard for a week. I didn't sleep. I got myself sick. It was really bad, but I did it.
So take your time and enjoy when playing.
Yeah. At least I still had fun, even though I got sick.
So jumping in.
Wait.
Yes.
I have a thing, but I wanted to let everyone know that my list and my differences in the game come from me playing at the same time, and also accesstheanimus.com's review of this book. And I want to give them a shout out because I don't want to steal from them because they're a really cool website that's all about Assassin's Creed stuff.
They are. If you are really into handy. Assassin's Creed and you have not been on there, we highly recommend that you take a look.
I'll put a link down below.
We talk about, just before we jump in, the fact that the beginning and the end, so we have a prologue and an epilogue, and they're both in this italics like font that so it begins as it ends, kind of. So it starts off with Cassandra as a young Spartan girl, and she's just hanging out with her fam.
Yeah, she's 7, apparently, according to this review. And Alexios is born.
He's a little baby. So I have actual question because I could not remember. Alexios, are they full siblings or half siblings?
That's a good question. I think they're full siblings, right?
So then how does she not know about the wolf? If she's 7 and he was just born, she would have known.
I don't know.
Because he has the blood of the special people as well, which is why the cult chooses him.
Mm-hmm.
And which Marini, they said that has it, but because of Pythagoras, they also have it. So if anyone knows.
Yeah, I don't actually know.
Because I think I got that in the game as well, because I thought that she knew about her parentage, but that's a big part of this book. All right, let's go. Let's dive in.
Okay, so Alexios is born. Cassandra's 7. Apparently doesn't remember anything.
She has this one memory of this one day.
Effers, I think is what they're called.
Yes, they are priests.
Effers. Effing effers, am I right? Order the family out of their house to Mount Tygodos?
Tegetos. I think is what it is.
To face judgment. This is as the father and mother had visited the Oracle of Delphi, and they've been warned that Alexios will doom Sparta. Very vague.
Mm-hmm.
Very
but
on
also
brand
the Oracle gives very like fortune cookie
you will have luck and success.
Yes. And that's kind of what she was known for, but I mean, if you've ever read any Greek tragedy, you know, never...
Oracle sucks.
Yeah.
I don't care what anyone says. All my homies hate the Oracle. Yeah, Cassandra goes to save her brother, because he's about to be thrown off the edge of the cliff.
By the priests.
By the priests.
Not by the parents.
By the effers. And instead, he knocks one of those mother effers and Alexios over the edge, and then she becomes a killer because she killed an effer, and also I guess Alexios and the brother.
Yeah, she goes to like try to save her brother, but they're at the edge of the cliff, and she knocks into the priest, and then the baby drops, but the priest drops as well, and so then
and then her dad, quote unquote,
Nicolas
throws her off the same cliff
because he was told to, and mom is super upset. She's like, no, don't do it. And then we meet.
Well, she survives the fall.
Yeah.
And
she's on the body of people that were thrown there before.
Oh, yeah. And she finds the broken spear. Oh, and her broken spear. She had that already.
Yeah, she has this cool... It's the spear of Leonidas, Leonidas was a Spartan king who sacrificed himself and 299 other Spartans to protect Greece from the Persians. So he's a real historical dude. It was like her great-grandfather?
Grandfather or great-grandfather?
Something like that. I thought it was like Marini's grandfather.
I think so too, maybe. I'm not sure. Anyway, she's related to him.
Yeah, and so she has the broken spear that, because obviously he was killed by the Persians, but he delays them, and so Athens is able to get their act together and attack. But so, she got super cool ancestors.
Yeah, and a tiny spear.
And a broken spear that she keeps.
You know, it's funny. So I read a robot read me this book. So obviously she said the words wrong. But I was also playing the game at the same time. So then I heard the actual words.
How did she say Herodotus?
Herodotos. That's what she said.
That's even better.
Herodotos. So yeah, anyway. Fell off the cliff, still has the spear, escaped on a boat and washed up on shore.
Oh, but when she's in the pile of
corpses,
dead remains, she finds a little baby bird.
Oh, that's right. I have
Icarus.
Differences in game. Young Cassandra finds an eagle chick, Icaros or whatever. Icaros, as my robot called it. However, in game,
I think Icaros actually means bird in Greek. I don't know Greek, so I only know like 3 words in Greece besides Malacus.
In the game, it suggests that the bird is a lot older because it's Pythagoras'. So that's a difference.
Yeah, but that bird would be super. I don't know how old eagles live, but like
she comments like at the end of the game how old the bird's getting.
Yeah.
So I think it's just. I mean,
did she not find it? I don't remember her finding the bird.
She didn't find the bird in the game.
Doesn't she? Doesn't
Pythagoras,
have the bird.
Spoilers, I guess, tells her that it was his bird at some point. But the bird's not that old, so I don't know. I don't know how that works.
I don't know.
but that is
Timelines,
a
they are
difference in
tricky.
game. Yeah, so she, washed up on shore and is taken in.
And
By
then
Marcos.
we jump in time. How old is Cassandra?
27.
So this is 20 years later. And she is taking a nap, and that she dreamt
Yeah.
of this, and she is
She's-
now in Kefalonia,
She's a Mistioth in
an
Kefalonia.
island.
Living with Marcos, kind of. She kind of lives on her own, but she works for Marcos and her BFF Phoebe, who's this little girl.
The best. Phoebe's the best.
Yeah, he buys a vineyard with the money from Cyclops, which is a local gang thug.
Yeah, he's a thug.
Cassandra agrees to steal Cyclops' fake eye to sell it for funds to recoup Marcos' cost.
Because they were gonna steal Phoebe and sexually assault Cassandra, which is, she's like a thug for hire herself, so that's dumb. But that was weird in the book where they're like, we're gonna rape you.
Yeah, I think in the game it was just like, we're gonna beat you up.
Yeah.
Fight you in front of your house. Let's go.
Obviously they don't do very well because she's a
mercenary.
She's a mercenary, so that was
her
not
job
the
is to beat people up for a living.
So the Cyclops, he's called the Cyclops because he has one eye, like, but he has a fake eye that's made of like onyx, but he doesn't wear it
because it's too rare, precious.
Because it's got
priceless.
like gold.
You think the safest place for that eye would be in his eye?
Yeah.
But I'm not a local gang thug, so I don't know. Yeah, so she comes across a man named as Elpenor.
Yeah.
Who asks to hire her to kill the Wolf of Sparta for a fee, and she's like, yeah. I don't know who that is for some reason.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll do anything for money. She later saves Barnabas.
The second best character.
From Cyclops. He
wanted his boat, and Barnabas was like, no, this is my boat. And so he was like drowning him in water or wine or something like that.
Is that where he gets his eye all messed up?
Barnabas?
Yeah. Or did he just
it was before, yeah.
I played that section of the game like way earlier, so I don't actually remember that one as well.
Because Barnabas has been like traveling around Greece forever. He's an older gentleman. With a lot of ladies that love him.
Yes.
Every port.
So he takes over the Andrestia.
Yes.
And they head for...
That's his boat.
Megaris.
Yeah, so she kills the Cyclops before they leave, right?
I think so.
Yeah, so she wins. She stole the eye, and then she put it in a goat's butt, but not really. And then she gives the eye to Phoebe to
She puts
sell.
a pebble in the goat's butt instead.
But in the game, you actually put it in there, and then that's a trophy as if you find it again. So now you're going to Megara to where the Spartans and the Athenians are fighting because you got to go find the wolf and bring back his head.
So here she meets Stentor,
which is a douchebag.
The adopted son of the Wolf of Sparta, whom is 30 years old.
So
differences from the game. Stentor has a beard in the novel. He does not in the game.
No, I don't think he's earned it yet.
Clean shaven.
Yeah, the Spartans have really strict rules.
Cass seeks the wolf at Megaris, but Stentor advises she cannot meet him without proving her worth.
So she's got to go help them out because they're losing, and so single-handedly she like defeats everyone.
Yeah. She just kind of like camps out and like kills enemies for them and is like, look, I'm helping. She aids the fight for Sparta. She impresses the wolf whom she meets, and it is revealed to be Nicholas.
Dun dun dun!
Her father!
Or so she thinks, because he's real quick to tell her,
yeah,
I am not your father.
LOL JK. She spares him.
And she thought, she thought her mother was dead, too.
She did, yeah.
So she thought she didn't have any family, and then she's like, but Dad! And he's like, I'm not your father.
She spares him despite his actions and told him that her mother is alive.
But we don't know that because...
And she has an unknown real father.
Yes, but we don't know that in the book.
What?
Until later. But she spares him because she brings a helmet that has blood on it to
I thought we just
Elfor.
knew that in the book.
No, he shows up later. He shows up at the end, and because Stenser, his adopted son, is like, I hate you. You killed my father.
Yeah, but you make it look like you killed him, but then
Yes.
you didn't.
But they don't. That's not mentioned really in the
Really?
book. You think he's dead, or you're led to think he's dead, and then you return the wolf's helmet to the dude.
You can choose to just kill him in the game, though,
Oh.
if you wanted to.
Did you do that?
No.
Oh.
Of course not. I don't know him well enough to make that decision.
Well, he did fling you off a mountain.
You're right. I should have done that. I was thinking about it. But did you do that?
No, I don't think so.
So we so far canon. so far with the canon.
Okay, we talk about so you bring the helmet back to the dude to get all the money. And which I don't know why you still need money. I guess because Kelfaloni doesn't have like any way to make money, and so that's like your only chance.
When you killed the Cyclops, you gave the eye to a little girl instead of selling it, so you don't have any money.
And so he's like,
I remember her talking about how hungry she was, and like the way she described eating bread and like olives and like food that she buried in the ground was so yummy sounding. That guy did really good descriptions. I hate olives, but the way he described eating one single olive made me be like, oh, that sounds
like
so
someone
good.
stole her food stores too. That was the Cyclops dudes. But so she brings the helmet, the bloody helmet, to the dude.
She leaves the bloodied wolf's helm on his desk. She kills him when she realizes his true intents, that he appears to belong to some kind of cult.
Dun dun dun. But she kills him like super fast.
Yeah. Well,
he tries to attack her because he knows who she is, and he's been watching her like a creeper forever. And so he thought that the wolf would kill her, but she was successful, and so
oops.
And so she like chops off his hands.
Yeah, it's pretty brutal.
And there's other people there that are supposed to attack her, and it just happens like super fast.
And he like really gives the villain monologue too, and tells her all about the cult and like, we threw your brother off the thing, like stuff like that.
Yeah, and so she needs to find out like where her mother's at.
She needs to find out like what the hell was that all about.
Yeah, and then but she just like kills him. Like he gives her certain information, and then she's like, all right, enough of that.
Yeah. So then she travels to Delphi and she meets
the oracle.
Herodotus. The oracle warned of the cult of Cosmos using masks and cloaks taken from Elfinor. Yeah, because he had stuff on him, so this is when she's going to go infiltrate the cult.
And then, like, so Herodotus, again, who's a real person, he's one of the world's first historians.
First?
Yeah.
Wow.
Because no one else's stuff has lasted that long. So he is known as, like, the first historian.
He does talk about writing stuff down a lot.
Yeah, he is the one
that likes to write.
that wrote about the Battle of Marathon and Thermopylae, which is the Greece versus Sparta wars. So he knew all about Leonidas and all of that, so... He's also super sassy in his writing. He wrote that. They're called the histories. They're pretty funny.
He's pretty great. I liked him as a character.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, so she is dressing up in a cloak and mask.
She infiltrates a meeting she was not invited to.
Enters the cave of Gaia and encounters Deimos.
So all of these other people are hanging out in capes and...
Yeah, this is exactly straight out of the game what happened.
No one knows
goes
each
into,
other's
like, rooms
identity.
And people are being freaking weird. Like, one dude's, like, cutting himself on a snake statue, and he's like, try it, it feels really good. And she's like, no.
That's so weird.
I think I'm okay. And he's like, lame.
Other person is, like, poking someone's eye out.
Yeah, and they're like, here, you want to do it? And she's like, I think I'm okay. I think she actually does do one of them because she doesn't want to...
Yeah, appear like she's not one of them.
Because that's in a game mechanic where you go into each of the rooms and people are doing weird stuff and they're like, join us, and if you don't join them, then they're like way more suspicious. Yeah. But if you do, then you're kind of a bad person.
There's a magical pyramid that you touch it and you see things, but only when Deimos is there.
Yeah, Deimos shows up and is like, all right, everyone, circle time.
And then... you know right off the bat that he's your brother, or is it after
So he's like, okay, one
You
of you's a
touch this
traitor.
magic
I can
pyramid.
feel it, and it's just the vibes I'm getting from this room. So
I thought you knew that the dude was dead.
I think so.
Yeah.
I don't remember. I thought he just had bad vibes. But like whatever.
One of you does not.
I don't
feel
think
the
he's
same.
smart enough to feel the vibes of the room.
I
so
thought they
probably
knew that he was dead, and so they're like, "There's the same amount of people here that was last time, but one of you is supposed to be dead." So
So everyone
there's an imposter.
touch the pyramid so I can see your thoughts or
Yeah.
something like that. So then
Instead of just taking your masks off.
yeah. So then she comes up and touches the pyramid, and they both share a vision of their like childhood.
Yes.
And then she's like, "Oh, he's Alexios." But like,
Oh, my
I
brother.
think isn't in the game are they wearing a mask the whole time?
He is not.
Yeah, I think
Demos
he
doesn't
just
do
came
masks.
in like normally.
He's like, I'm too pretty
but I think
to
in
wear
the
a mask.
book he was wearing one or something.
I don't think he was. I don't remember.
I don't remember actually, but oh yeah, because how would she know? He was like a baby.
Yeah.
You know, like okay.
No, he's
yeah.
a grown man.
So yeah, and they're like, "Oh, that's Alexios. Oh no."
And then he causes a distraction by killing someone.
Yes. Because the other person was like, "This is taking too long." Because they're just like staring at each other, like, "Oh my god, we're siblings." And then one person's like, "Oh, this is too slow," and then touches it, and then Delexios, just kills that person, and she's like, "Okay, time to escape."
She just kind of sneaks out.
Yeah, time to get out of here. So I called that part 1. I divided these into 4 parts. I don't know if it's just easier for me to track that.
So now you know about the Cult of Cosmos.
You know about Alexios is alive.
You know that they controlled the Oracle, and they've controlled her for a while. I like in the game though that you get to go like talk to her in her house.
Yeah.
And so now you go. Is
Part
Athens
2,
there?
she leaves and is advised by Herodotus to go to Athens to find clues about her mother.
So Pericles is the leader of Athens, and so he's like, he knows a lot of smart people, so let's go to his house and maybe they'll know about your mother, because Athens is the place to be. So she left Sparta, she probably went there.
But before that happens, she stops at Thermopylae, and Demos is there and is like, "The cult's bad. Sis, see you later."
Yeah, their
And that was
relationship
weird.
is weird.
I didn't like that storyline like at all.
In the game too was weird too. So the reason why you go in the game, you go to Thermopylae, is because there's like that's where you upgrade your spear, and
Yeah.
but that's not
That's
really
a thing. I have it in the back
like
here in my
later.
notes that says no, Andros is where you upgrade your spear. The island of Andros and the upgrading of the spear do not occur. I think Thermopylae is somewhere else, but I don't know why you go there.
That's where Leonidas dies, and there's like a lion statue. So it's like you're paying homage to your great grandfather.
Yeah, okay. And then they meet, and then warns you about the cult, and then you go to Athens, where you hang out with Pericles and Cleon.
And Socrates.
And Socrates and Alcibiades. Blades.
Alcibiades.
No. That's not. Is that no way? That's not how they said it in the game. That's not how they said it in the game.
Alcibiades?
No, they said like Alcibiades. Alcibiades, little slut.
Yeah, he's the blonde kid that tries to sleep with everyone.
And
then Asphasia is Pericles'
wife. Differences in the game. Cassandra pursues no romances, but does cheekily kiss Alcibiades. That's not how they said it in the game, but Alcibiades. Who'd you romance?
Not him, because he looked like a dirty boy.
Probably a Sonia.
He's like, so that they go to Pericles' house, and they're having like a party, and so like you see all of these really famous people.
Socrates so bad.
Yeah, and he is like in the orgy room, and like he hits on you all the time.
I had sex with him whenever I could because it was really funny, and you could have sex with him so much.
Gross.
I didn't think he was a bad guy. There was that one time you did like a side quest for
him.
Oh,
that was so rude.
What?
The side quest with the
drunk guy?
Where he like made a cast of his own penis.
No, that was funny. I did, yeah, that one too. But no, there was like one where he had a party and then there was like a drunk politician and he was like, "Can you take him home?" And then when you take him home, he gets attacked. And so he knew he was going to get attacked, so he sent you to save him.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's very nice, but he didn't like cheekily sideway. Although he is kind of sketchy because he let like a war criminal into Athens.
Yeah, he's a little sketch. He shows up all the time, too.
All the time. There's so many side quests with him. He's the like sexual innuendo character that just shows up and says weird stuff and you're like, okay. But he's like kind of important because he also shows up to the Olympics and like beat you.
He's also like a real person.
Not in the game. In the Is he like that in history?
I don't.
How much
they
do
don't
you
really
know
talk about that.
Hockey blades over here.
Hockey blades. Alcibiades is he is known for his speech, and so like in Thucydides' Peloponnesian War, he gives speeches in Athens. He's also like a lot of these people are like, so Sophocles, who we see at this party, he's the one that wrote the Antigone and the Oedipus stories. He was also a general during the Peloponnesian War.
Oh, cool.
Socrates would have also served in the army during this time as well. So they're statesmen, so they give a lot of speeches. But that's at the party, everyone's talking smack about everyone, and you're trying to find information. But you find
Phoebe works there in Athens.
She's a servant.
Yeah, she got caught by what's her face, and she's like kind of important.
It's the Pericles.
Pericles' wife, Aspasia.
Aspasia, sure. Who is cunning as Pericles is as well, and so, but she's like, don't drink the wine because they're gonna poison you, and then so Cassandra's got to go, but like she sends her. She's either gonna be one of two places, so. She either has to find
who urges her to leave after learning
Hippocrates in the game.
Argolis and priests in Corinth who may have harbored her mother.
So you got two possible side quests, but you have to do both of them. So
yep. So she goes to Argolis first to save Hippocrates from thugs sent by Crisis, I think is how you say her name.
Yeah, I believe so.
A cultist.
Yes.
She goes to the sanctuary of, I don't know how to say that, Asclepius.
Oh, he was a priest.
Pois.
Yeah, he's or god of medicine is what he is. So, which is why Hippocrates is there, because he is the medicine dude, the Hippocratic Oath that's named after him.
And finds Dolphus. Dolopus. Dolopus. The cultist's son.
Which is super sad because he's
Crisis's son.
He's silent.
Yes.
Because she cut out his tongue.
Yeah, it's terrible.
So he points to like these weird statue. They're not statue. What are they? She has to read a bunch of things, and then she's like, "Oh, my mom was here."
Yeah, she finds out about her mom.
There are all these like stone pillars that have like graffiti on it from when like this person was here at this time.
Yeah. And then from doing that weird puzzle thing, she finds Crisis in a shrine, and Crisis sets alight a newborn baby inside. She puts the baby inside of the shrine, and she's like, "Hey, you can either save this baby or kill me," and then puts it on fire.
And then I did both in the game.
You did both?
I saved the baby and then I killed her.
Yeah, you can go kill her. You have to. She's part of the cultist list.
But in the book, someone else does.
That's true. That's different. Her son actually kills her with an axe.
And then to the face.
She gets like eaten by dogs afterwards, and it's like crazy.
Because she's a bad mother.
Yeah, so you kill her in game. You either don't save the baby and just like go after her, or you save the baby and then like she's on the side of the road somewhere.
She's not very far away. You can totally.
She's not. It's so weird. There's like a lady who's like, my husband went into the woods and I'm scared for him. So you go into the woods. There's this dead dude. She like comes out of the trees and is like, "What up? Surprise!
The easiest.
It's of the me." And I'm like, "Wow, all right."
Stab.
That was pretty easy.
Poke. Yeah. But you find out that Marini was there, and that that this lady told her that Alexos was dead. Like, she takes Alexos to her to help him because obviously he got thrown off a mountain.
Can we say that Marini is your mom? I don't know.
Okay. Marini is your mother. And so she takes Alexos to her to help like heal him, and then she says, "Oh, Alexis is dead," but really she keeps the baby and raises him as part of the cult.
Yeah. So pretty evil.
So you don't mind that
everyone likes her though, like in town. She's like, "Oh, what will be if Crisis says it," you know?
because she kind of like she's supposed to help all the
With
kids.
the name like Crisis, you know? Something's bad. So after that whole shenanigans happen, she goes to Corinth. And
but before that, you find out because you saved Hippocrates, and he's talking about a plague, and so he's trying to save people because the plague's important.
My question is, did that okay, so if you in the beginning of the game have that choice to kill those people who have the plague or not, does that affect the plague later in the game with Athens?
I don't think so because the plague actually happened, but I think it doesn't start on Kefalonia because Kefalonia is like dark skies ever since that. Like
yeah, and Athens goes back to normal eventually. I thought that was like the big consequence of the game is if you chose to.
It's like super early in the game too. It's like you have to save Phoebe's friend or
it's like have people kill this family or don't because they have a plague, and I feel it makes you feel like it's your fault that the plague's happening because you didn't kill this one family, but I feel like that's too important of a story beat for them to not have a plague in Athens later. I know this is kind of a spoiler for later, but
that was also the plague actually happened. It's in the Thucydides story, and in the book they say it happened because so many people were in Athens hiding out from the Spartans.
Just too many people in one spot.
People are dirty.
Super spreader events. Okay, so she travels to Corinth and she meets Anthusa. Anthusa, yeah, it's Anthusa. She agrees to kill the Monger, who is a local brute, for information on Marini. And this is where she encounters Brasidas.
Who's been hiding for, like, grossness days and been peeing in the side, and...
He's gross. What's your thoughts on Brasidas? Question, can you romance Brasidas?
Sort of,
because he hated me because I never did anything he said.
Oh, he liked me, but we didn't like. You couldn't. I couldn't bow chicka bow him.
Dang it! He liked seems me like the perfect one because to do that to.
I know, but she gets like super upset later on because of what happens to him. But yeah, he
seems like a prime target for the bow chicka bow wow. Do you know what I mean?
I don't think I did kind of everything that he asked, and so we were friendly, and she enjoyed seeing him. But I don't think you could bow chicka bow wow him.
That's so lame. You should be able to. That would make the impact like stronger.
Yeah.
When he eventually dies. Spoilers for 2 seconds from now. Yeah. So she meets Brasidas, a Spartan, and despite being captured together, they're captured by the Monger.
This was a horrific scene.
It's horrible because the Monger captures and tortures Cassandra, which is very different than events in game.
Yes, because I killed the Monger like in the game like super quickly. Like he's like coming out of a thing, and I just murdered him.
That's fair.
And so I didn't, and I then.
Did you do it stealthily then, and not like a
no? I just
Anthusa wants you to do it in like public, like in a theater, and be like make it a show. And Brasidas is like, do it stealthily because it's gonna cause a scene, so you can choose between.
He was like in public, but still hid. I did like some weird in between thing, and I think.
So you didn't get the cutscene.
I don't remember. I know it was. I think I just killed. I think that was the issue.
That's why Brasidas liked you.
I killed him very quickly.
You killed him without picking a side.
Yeah.
Because that's a big thing with Brasidas in that game. Because he's like, kill him stealthily, and she's like, no, don't. I wanted to make a show. And I was
because he's like taking over the city and like scaring people. So she wants people to. And so this lady is like a madam. She's got a bunch of ladies who are like prostitutes, and so he has them in a cage, and he
has like a sex dungeon.
Yeah, and what he's doing is he's A, tearing people apart, and B, he's like dipping them in this like fire thing, which
I don't really understand.
It was almost like lava.
It was strange.
And so he liked to take like flesh off of people, and then he'd like to burn them, and so you're like hanging there, and people are like beating you up, and
yeah. You do not get taken by him. You can choose to kill him stealthily or not. And I chose to do it in public. I was like, forget you, Brasidas. I put on a show. He like came in with a bunch of thugs, and then I killed him. And then Aspasia was like, "Hey, can I have the final blow?" And you're like, "Yeah." And she brings in all of her like harem ladies,
Special lady
and
friends.
they just like beat the shit out of him and stab him, and it was like very cathartic and nice. So they all have knives, and they're just crowded around him, and he's just screaming, and you're like, "Goodbye."
Yeah, I like as soon as I got that thing, he was coming out of a house and I just murdered him really fast, and so it was very anticlimactic for me in the game.
At least Brasidas liked you.
But yeah, so Brasidas has been there, like, and Spartans don't really do this, so I don't know why
He's different.
Yeah.
He's not like other Spartans.
he hides, and
He's
waits for an
sneaky.
opportunity because
Yeah, he's very I don't know what the right word for that would be.
strategic,
No.
wimpy.
No. Not quite as mean.
He's like he goes because we're trading with the city, and so the people that we're trading with him like didn't come home, and so he's like, let's figure out what's happening. And then he saw the mongrel, and he's been hiding behind these like rugs for several days. And,
Yeah.
And the mongrel's like, dude, I smelled you. Like, I knew you were there the whole time.
But they do manage to kill the monger together.
And that's when they become best friends.
Yeah.
And then he leaves. And then she continues on her adventure.
Yeah, and Thusa is like, yeah, Marini left on a ship called the Siren Song and is heading towards the, I don't know what this word is.
The Cyclades is a group of islands, which is not very helpful because there's a whole bunch of little islands there. And so she's like, oh, the Cyclades. And it's
the
like,
random islands over there.
Yeah.
Cassandra returns to Athens.
Because she's like, I went to the 2 places you told me to.
This is 2 years after she's left Kephallonia. A disease has struck the city of Athens, like we were talking about before.
It's the plague.
It's the plague.
So bodies are everywhere. People are like,
so
don't come
gross.
here. You'll catch the thing and die.
Pericles.
Pericles.
I think Pericles is what they said
Pericles.
in the a robot version. Is afflicted too. Aspasia hears of a ship name, the Siren Song, that Cassandra missions, and she advises to speak to the pirate Xena.
Warrior princess.
She became a pirate. And then Phoebe's killed by the cult.
So yeah, she's like, they spent some time together and they're playing, and then she like can't find Phoebe and she runs. And does Demos kill her in this story?
I don't think it's Demos. I think it's just cult members.
Was he there though?
I think he does show up. Demos kills.
Because in the story,
Pericles.
Yeah.
Pericles.
Even though he was dying of plague, like,
yeah, what the
dumb.
heck, Demos? Just wait.
And so they have to escape because, but like in the game, Phoebe's death is so
it's so sad. So in the like game, Aspasia's like, oh, I sent her to go do something, and Cassandra's like, what?
Yeah, it's like
in the middle of plague where all these cults are around.
Yeah.
So she's like, I'm gonna go after her, and then you can get really, really mad at Aspasia, and I think like not really attack her. I think, but you can just get mad at her.
Yeah, and then it's like you find Phoebe and she's dying.
Yeah, she's being chased by the cult, and then you run after her and you're too late. She's like dying on a pillar, and you kill the cultists, and then you give her the little like winged bird thing that she gives you in the beginning in Kephallonia.
She wanted her own eagle, so
it was really sad.
It's awful. And then so DLC, you go to Hades, you go to the underworld.
Yeah,
and she's there. She's not in.
She went to Hades.
The reason why she's there though is because she doesn't know where her family is, and so she went to the good place, but she travels there to try to find her parents.
Oh.
So that was when I saw her in the underworld, I was like, oh no, you didn't.
She's like, oh no, I went here on my free will. It's fine.
Yeah, and then you find out why she's there, and of course Cassandra, the good person she is, like helps her find her family, and then they get to go back to Elysium.
Nice.
So it's like, all right, I'll take that. But yeah, I was a little upset when I saw her in the place she was not supposed to be. But sorry, I just spoiled some of the DLC for you. If you've not played the DLCs, they're well worth it.
Are they?
They are.
I uninstalled the game.
It's fun. I think you can probably play it on mine.
I would have to buy them.
Yeah, I have them.
Yeah, okay, anyway.
So you flee Athens
Demos
with...
Demos killed Pericles. He's not dead yet.
Yeah.
Cass and Aspasia flee to Nexos.
But the Socrates, you're all fleeing, you're running to the ship to leave, and you have Aspecia, which is, again, Pericles is, I don't know if it's, I think technically she is his wife, but like they don't say that in the book. And so with obviously with Barnabas and Herodotus. And then Socrates is coming with you, but then he stops and he's like, I must stay in
I'm gonna stay.
Athens. And so Cassandra says, well, then stay alive. And so
yeah. But you'll see him again.
Socrates.
Spoilers, I don't think he dies in the plague. So.
He does not.
He
He dies in real life because he is corrupting the youth because he's annoyingly asks all the questions.
Yeah, he's very annoying. Not excited to do side quests for him. Yeah, so I mean, she just goes and Xena tells her the information that she really needs. Where the siren song was going to be last seen.
Yes.
And then I said part 3. I mean, nothing really happened on the pirate island, to be honest.
Is this where you're like hiding for like a year?
A year passes.
Yeah.
Pursued by the cult before they reach Nexos. Cass and Marini reunite. The cult has the island blockaded. Orders are found from one of the Spartan kings. And breaching the blockade, they make for Laconia?
Laconia is the land of the Spartans. Can we talk about the torture scene with the dude and the ants?
I don't remember that.
So they can't escape the blockade. They were allowed into the blockade, but it's one of the cult members who likes torture. He like cuts off a piece of your flesh and then throws you in the water so the sharks will eat you. But there was a person that Marini was like, he's the smartest of us all. He thinks he found a way to that like outsmart them, and so he's been gone for a while, and so Cassandra has to go find him, and he's on an island. And they, two of the cultist dude's guards have him, and they like buried him to the neck, and then
get eaten by ants.
They poured honey on them, and then they kicked like the ant hill next to him, and so he's like screaming as the ants are like crawling in his eyes and mouth, and then Cassandra, smart lady, pours vinegar all over him.
That's what I do to kill ants in my house.
Yeah. And so she saves him, and that's how they know how to get out of the blockade. And then she just rams the shit out of that boat and kills everyone.
Yeah, and that doesn't happen in the game, but yeah, I think I remember that because I had a really big ant problem like recently, and I just like dip vinegar, and then you just like spray the sides, not really spray, I just wipe the sides of like the house and where they're coming in from with vinegar, and they'll be out of here in 2 days.
Yeah, because it blocks their scent trail. Also, fun thing about vinegar, if you have fruit flies, leave a little cup of vinegar out and they'll go into the vinegar and die.
Nice. Hot tips. Hot pest control tips from the Video Game Book Club. So yeah,
so we're going back to Spartan land with Cassandra and her mother.
We're in Sparta. And Cassandra tries to save boys from wolves, which is a choice you can make in the game.
Yeah, there's these young, scraggly boys, and one of them is getting thrown around like a rag doll. And
you can go save them, and your mom's like, don't save them, this is Sparta. And you're like, I don't really care, I hate Sparta. And then she, you can go down and save them, or you can not, depends. I went down and saved them.
I don't remember seeing them. I think I went a different way. But it's their training to become the warriors. It's the thing that everyone knows about. The little kids get taken and they have to like fend for themselves. And
yeah, they're like, why would we want a kid that can't even fight wolves? That's so lame. Yeah, so then they go to talk to the two kings.
Oh, because they go back to their old house, but it belongs to Stentor now.
Stentor.
And so they're like, oh, so instead of just like taking their house back, they go and like ask for it. Because they know, they also heard that one of the kings is a cultist. Mm-hmm. So they're trying to suss out
which one it is. And
because Brasidas is there. Brasidas takes them.
Brasidas is there, yeah, because they're like, how are we gonna get our old house? And Brasidas like, hey, long time no see, guys.
I'll take you in front of the.
Let's go talk to the kings. And then
there's an old king and a young king, and they're like battling it out when you show up. Mm-hmm.
They're like just fight to make an agreement. They're like, we disagree on a topic. Let's fight and see who's the cooler one. So these warriors.
Could you imagine if that's what happened in Congress? It's like
that'd be funny. Actually, I think we should do that.
battle it out.
We can only have the buffest senators. And then we broadcast it for everyone to watch. What's gonna win? So they're like, okay, you have to do 2 things for us in order for you to get your house back.
This is where we meet testicles.
Yes.
Which is the most
Testicles.
unfortunate
But
name.
testicles is funny. Yeah, so she has to help an Olympic champion named Testicles.
Who is drunk all the time.
And
likes to be oiled up.
Yes. They do this kind of in a weird order in the book. In the book, she just kind of trains with him. And then she travels to, was it Boedo or whatever?
Yeah.
And then to help with the war effort over there.
They're like, we're losing. So in real life, they don't fight in the wintertime. Like, they pause the war, and then once spring comes, then the battle starts again.
Wait, time out, guys. It's cold.
That's what happens in the Thucydides. So that's what happens in real life. It's like, we're gonna pause for the winter, go home, and then we're gonna start this again in the spring.
And she goes to Boedo, and then Stentor's there, and he is pissed.
Yeah,
he's like, how dare you? She like punched her in the face.
He punches her right in the face, and she's like, dude.
What the heck, dude?
You killed my father.
So
she's like, give me a bunch of soldiers.
A job. Like, I'll just do it. I'll just do it, Stentor. And he's like, yeah, you can't do it.
He sends one
like slave. She wants to go distract the Athenian forces, and she actually, with one slave, she manages to do it.
And gets that's not the Megarons. Who was there was another group of people that was supposed to help them out, but they were waiting for a fire to be lit. And then she lights the fire, and they come, and she fights with them, and then they win. And then
Nicholas.
Stentor is like, I still hate you. I'm gonna kill you.
He's like, now that your job's done, let's fight. And she's like, what? No. Why would we do that?
And then Nicholas comes up and is like,
what are you doing?
You're my son.
You crazy.
Then they hug it out.
And little tears shed. Like, Dad, you're alive. And then Cassandra's like, wow, what a dude. Okay, so since you can kill Nicholas, I'm assuming that scene doesn't happen in the game, and you just kill Stentor.
I think that's what it is. I don't know.
Why would I want Stentor to be alive?
He's kind of a douchebag.
But he stayed alive, so far still canon. Great.
I figured like you need as many people to help you at the end of the game. That's how all these games work. So
I guess I don't hate Stentor. He's just kind of annoying. Like, I get where he's coming from.
Yeah, but he would rather kill you than help his own country.
He's mad that you killed his daddy. He has daddy problems. Yeah. He wants to be, like, his daddy's favorite bad.
But his dad's death promoted him.
Yeah, but he's not happy about it because he wants his daddy.
Yeah. Not even his
real
adopted father. So I don't know what happened to his real dad, but definitely his daddy issues.
Okay, he definitely has daddy issues. More than you do for some reason. You're pretty chill about it.
Yeah, he literally threw you off the cliff.
Yeah, he threw you off a cliff
and then
not
told
even your
you
real dad.
Like that he's not your real dad.
And you're like kind of whatever about it. When you eventually do meet your real dad, you're also kind of whatever about it.
You don't even really ask about your real dad. No. For a long time. Like,
it's really weird.
She's just happy to see her mom, and then like
I didn't go do the real dad quest because I know Marini is like, find your real dad on this random ass island. Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, no. And I went and just continued the main storyline.
You need it takes a while to actually be able to get in there though, because you have to do certain things.
Yeah, and then I did you do light puzzles.
Oh yeah,
to get in.
That wasn't. And then, because there's stupid wolves all over the place that you have to kill as you're doing it.
Yeah, and so I did that after I finished the main... I call Odyssey storyline the main storyline.
Yeah.
The main storyline, so it felt a little weird. But you can do that early on. I was over-leveled to go do that.
Oh, but the staff is, like, the OG weapon. Like, it's pretty good. I mean, there's better weapons, but, like, it was a pretty good weapon.
Nicholas reveals himself.
We return to Sparta.
Returns to Sparta. When she hears that...
We get our house back.
Marini killed Lagos.
There's another
cultist
cult member.
In Arcata. This was Cassandra's working game.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't remember...
these cultists. Marini didn't do anything.
Because she stays there, like, the whole time. Even though they both hate Sparta for what they did to their life, they like
I
stay
hate
there.
Sparta too. Like,
Because they're treated as like second class citizens since they left.
yeah.
And no one really likes them, and they're not really nice to them, and then they stay, which is dumb. Like, you should just, I mean, she's helped so many other people out that
Athens loves you more.
yeah, it's weird.
Despite no evidence to confront King Archidamus.
So they think that the old king is the one, and so because it's the red-eyed lion, and so because he was the king when you were thrown off the cliff, you just kind of assume that the crotchety old man is the one that's the cult.
Fair point, I guess. You know, you're like the traditionalist old man.
So the young one is nice to you. He gives you a house and like takes
He's
care
like,
of you.
We'll help you
Yeah.
out.
And then the old one is like, we should just kill them. And so you just assume that it's that one.
Yeah, and they find a scroll and a seal used by, what's the other king's name?
Started with a P.
Panita. It's right here, right?
Panita.
Panitas. Paninis. So Paninis is exposed.
Pausanias?
Posinias.
So the
It's
reason why
King
he is
P and King A.
So there was a note, and there's a letter that you can't read because it's in some other dialect, but I don't remember that being in the fact that they have a language you can't read. Like, you learn the language.
Exposing King P was really, really hard for me because Brasidas didn't like me. So he wasn't willing to help me out in court. So I got kicked out of Sparta. This is in the game. This is not in the book, by the way.
You should be Team Brasidas. He helps you out.
You should be Team Brasidas, but I just, I liked the other plans better. So both times.
Yeah, considering that the Mongol was like ripping off the flesh of these poor lady prostitutes.
I didn't do the monger thing, and I didn't do the other thing he wanted me to do. I don't remember what that was, but I just ignored
you could
him.
like go help like an army or
It's
was that the Gila?
It's sneak into a place to get a guy, and I accidentally killed some people in there. And
oh yeah, was that the one the barn that you lit on
because
fire?
I killed the monger in public, that guy wasn't willing to help me. So I had to kill him, and then Brasidas was pretty pissed about it. So I kind of like sealed my fate with the monger choice. So Brasidas just hated my guts. So exposing the king was rough. So I got kicked out of Sparta, and I had to sneak back into Sparta and just murder him on his way out of the court proceedings.
Yeah.
And then came back, had to sneak to kill him, and then grab the thing on his body, and then sneak back to the old king and be like, hey.
I feel like I had to do that too, though. Like, I don't think it was easy. I think they kick you out no matter what. But, like, yeah, Brasidas liked me.
I think you have to kill him in Sparta anyway. It just depends on how wanted you are in Sparta.
That's true. But then also that one of the side quests is, like, their slaves, like, revolt, and you have to go tell them to knock it off, which was sad. I wanted to be team, like, overturn the slaves. So the way you expose them in the book is that the one slave that helped you in Boita told you a story of like, because he had all these scars, and you're like, oh, life's tough for you, and she's like, was that the old king? And he was like, no, the young king broke my cheek because I spilled wine on this one document, and so the document that you find has his handprint of wine on it, and so you're like, oh, he's the Golden Cosmo.
Confirmed. I feel like,
and then the old king kills him.
Yeah, okay. I feel like the way, because not having that kind of evidence, I feel like it's a big accusation.
That is from a slave too, like that they would not have like gone for that.
I don't like this canon as much.
It's a little sus, and like they don't even trust.
I like my canon
in the first place.
where people don't believe me, and I just go kill the king.
And then you're like, look, see, you have this document on
it's true, and they're like, all is forgiven, even though you killed the king.
You can have your house back.
You can have your house back.
I feel like you have to do quite a lot to get your house back.
And then after that,
and the dog's there.
There's a dog?
Yeah, in the game, it's your dog. Like for some reason, it's still at your house.
I don't remember that.
And because he shows up in the underworld, like
I don't remember the dog. I'm sorry. Cass returns to training testicles, and he falls overboard from the ship.
So they're going from the ship to go to the Olympic Games on some random island, and he's like, oil me, and she's like, oil yourself, and then he's like, there's places I can't reach, and she's like, oh heck no, that's gross, I'm not touching you, and he falls off the ship.
Yeah, he like goes in for a hug, and then like she dodges, and he falls off the ship.
And they see.
And they're like, all right, get him out. And like, I think Brasidas was gonna like not Brasidas, Barnabas. Yeah, sorry, two B's. Was gonna throw a thing to help him, and then they see like a shark fin, and then they're like, oh no.
And then his dirty
and then his loincloth comes up, and then the sea is red, and they're like, oh no.
Did that happen in the game, or did he get lit on fire?
That did happen in the game. I didn't get him the oil because you had a side quest where you can go get his oil, and if you get the oil, then a lady can't get her freedom from being a slave. So I was like, you know what, screw this oil, you can have your freedom. And then I went to him, and then he's like, oil me, and you're like, no. And then he goes in for the hug. You're on a deck, though. You're not on the boat.
I thought he got lit by fire because he had the oil on him, but it was like the wrong type of oil. Did you get the
oil?
But I think I got like a different type of oil.
Because she doesn't make the oil. She tells you how to make it, so maybe you like mess it up.
I think I did, and then it catches on fire.
Then I have the Canon one. Because I didn't get him oil. He came in for a hug, and then I dodged him, and then he fell in the water and got eaten by sharks.
I don't remember. It's been too long, but there was something. I remember something with the oil, and like I think it was she could be free or not, but she tells you how to do it. If you did something else, like she told you how to make it.
I asked her how to do that because I was like, you can just tell me, and she's like, I hope it was worth my freedom, and I was like, I feel bad, so I reloaded. Yeah, so this is in a different order because training and participating.
Oh, and then you go and you play the Olympics.
You have to participate in the Olympics in his place, and you compete and you win a lot. I think you lose to racing to the accolades or whatever. He's there. I don't know.
I'm sure he's got to do a lot of running in his life.
He has a lot of stamina.
A lot of people has got to run away from a bunch
so that's
of
the only one you lose. Yeah, so that you don't expose the Spartan King until after you've done the Olympics. So this is like in a different order.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the task is prior to discovering the Cultist King, which is a weird take to do because, you know, I thought you were supposed to take Testicles to the Olympics as a thing. Or
you were supposed to train him because he was a drunk, which they say, like, that they get slaves super drunk, so they act like idiots, and that's how they deter Spartans from over drinking.
Interesting.
Like, that was a thing in there.
Huh.
It's like, look what an idiot these slaves look like.
So after she wins the Olympics, just a side thing, you know, in BD. I like that she gives the crown, the like Olympic little clown to
the laurel.
Yeah, she gives
to
it
Barnabas.
to Barnabas, and he's so excited about it. He's so hyped about the Olympics. He's a big Olympic fanboy, and he's like, "Oh, I'm never gonna take this off." He
wears it all the time.
I love it.
So cute.
So after that, she hears that Brasidas, the other bee boy, is trapped in battle at Skifteria?
I don't know how to. It's an actual island. This is one of the events that's actually in the Peloponnesian War by Thucydides. It's a weird. I don't know how to say it.
Skifteria.
I don't know. It starts with an S. There's letters in there that shouldn't be.
Anyway, and that Deimos is en route to enforce Athenian forces there. Upon arrival, she sees Barnabas. Barnidas struck down and thrown from battle. Rip.
So this was Athens was attacking this island that the Spartans had, and the Spartans lose, and this is what happens in real life, and it is a huge downfall for the Spartans. It takes them a lot to recover from this. So she gets knocked out.
Yeah, so Deimos is just like kills Brasidas very violently, and then she's like, no, and then runs and gets knocked out.
And then wakes up in a cell that's like a stone cell in Athens.
Is it the same way that it is in the game? Because I don't really remember that well, where like a tree falls on Deimos, Alexios, or whatever, and she's like, you can either choose to be like, ha, that's what you get, or you could be like, here, let me help you. And then either way, you get knocked out. I don't remember that.
I actually don't remember being knocked out, so...
You don't? In the game?
It's been a while since I played, but I didn't remember this part, so...
I remember this part because I kind of cheated, and I looked up something, and they told me that you'd lose all your equipment You get it back later, but it's one of those sections of the game where they like take away your stuff and then you have to do stuff.
You have to fight without any of
So
your
I wanted
skills.
to get done with a lot of things before that happened. So that's why. Yeah, so she's captured and trained, and she's paraded through the streets and goes to Attica before she's placed into a jail cell in Athens for months, which was not in the game. It was like a day.
Yeah, a lot of time has gone by.
Yeah, this whole book takes place over 10 years, and the game takes place over like a month.
Yeah.
So, unless you were knocked out for a really long time. But this is when we find out that Cleon is a cultist.
Like, he's like the cultist, too.
He says he's the darkest, baddest cultist of them all.
Yeah, and
by this time, you killed most of the cultists in the book.
Yeah, there's like 1 or 2 left.
Yeah, it's like him and Demos or whatever. And the main lady.
Which you don't know about till later. But, there's a guy in the cell next to you, and was this in the game?
No. And okay, this is what I wrote about where I liked this better, because this is where you learn about Pythagoras from this dude.
Pythagoras.
That's
how they say it in the game. But yes, for all the rest of us in North America, Pythagoras.
I'm sorry about my accent, all right?
The math dude. All the triangles.
Pythagoras. Yeah, so he, is getting beaten up and she wants to talk to him about stuff, and he's like, no, don't talk to him. And then eventually, he tells her about Pythagoras and stuff. And
so he was, we hear about him before because his wife is one of Barnabas's lovers.
Yeah.
And she gave him a trinket that has a symbol on it. I'm assuming it's a math symbol.
Makes sense.
And so, like, she's like, oh, is this you? You've been missing for a long time. And he's like, I'm not going to talk to you because you're one of them. And then eventually they become pals. And
yes, cellmates.
Before he gets his head stomped in.
Yeah, sad.
Gross.
But yeah, I like that this was the way she found out about Pythagoras.
Where he is, yeah.
And where he is and stuff a little more than the game.
Versus the mom being like, oh yeah, I know where he's been at this whole
time.
Yeah,
your real dad's somewhere on this island. You should go check it out before you come see me again. Peace. This one made a little more sense. And it kind of made the jail section a little more meaningful than in the game. Because the jail section was so short.
Although I love the fact that Socrates and Barnabas come to your rescue.
Your BFFs.
With like...
And yeah, you can so they send like guards in to beat you up, and you just beat them up, and then they come in like,
we're here to rescue you.
We're here to rescue you, and they're like, oh, you've killed the guards already. Anyway, here's your stuff.
And then they put on a play that makes fun of Cleon.
She also talks to Demos.
Oh yeah, he comes to visit her because he still wants to kill her. They have the weirdest relationship.
I hate this. Like, I like the idea of having, like, you have 2 characters, and then if you pick one, the other one's the main villain.
Yeah.
That's cool. I like that. But the fact that you can change Demos' mind at all is the dumbest thing I've ever heard, because years of brainwashing.
But he finds out he's been lied to, though.
Barely knows who you are.
He doesn't really believe you.
And you can talk to him. This is like a pivotal moment in the game where if you choose the right dialogue, then this will change the outcome of the end. Yeah, so you're like, if you're just honest with them, I think is the best choices that you can pick in that game. And not like a dick towards him.
But he's kind of a dick.
It's hard. It's hard. You really want to be just an asshole. Yeah, so Barnabas and Socrates arrive, they escape, and they meet with a bunch of people that were at the party.
It's all the philosophers and playwrights and stuff from Athens, and they're like
Occublades.
Also ideas. They're gonna...
Who gives no ideas? He's just there. You can have sex with him right after this meeting in the game. It's like the dumbest thing. I don't even know why he's there. Like, the playwright's the most important, and Socrates, and then someone else is there.
There's 2 playwrights, and they're like, we're gonna create a play which will embarrass Cleon and turn the people against him.
Yeah.
Which I kind of want to see what the play is now, because they like reenact a little bit of it, and it
looks horrible.
They just laugh. Like, his own soldiers just are like laughing.
Yeah, and
in front of him.
The difference between the game and the book was, in the game he was watching the play, and in the book he just heard about the play. But it was kind of funny to watch, like, the big bad cult guy watch this play making fun of him and then gets mad and just leave. Then Cassandra hears that Brasidas is actually alive, and he's leading a failing battle in
up north. So we got to go to the last part of the map.
Amorpholis?
Amphipolis?
Yeah, and she's gonna go assist him. Yeah, he sends like a guard and is like, hey, he's alive and he needs help. Please go help him.
So single-handedly you go.
Which is funny for me because he hated me. When I went to go visit him after this and he was like, well, it's good to see you, I guess. Let's go fight. And you're like, what up, dude? I thought we were friends. And he's like, no, you're lame. And
he considers you almost like a brother to him.
You never listened to me.
Oh, see, he was so happy to see me.
And like, that would make more sense to the story because why would he ask for you to show up if he hates your guts?
Because you're the best.
Well, it doesn't even matter because he launches a final assault on the Athen forces and is killed by Deimos. For realsy this time.
Like, it's a serious, like, fight. Isn't he decapitated in the
I don't think he's decapitated. I think he just gets, like, slashed.
But yeah, Deimos, like, kills him for reals this time.
Through the eyeball or something. There's a lot of eyeball stuff in this book. They, like, talk about putting spears through eyes and branding eyeballs and popping out eyeballs and mushy, gross eyeball. Like, what's the deal?
It's gross.
I mean, I know that's what you should aim for because it's effective, but I don't know. Is it historically accurate to go for the eyeball?
That's the soft part, I guess. And it causes infection and stuff, so it would be...
They can't see anymore, I mean...
True. And really, because they had the helmets, like, they just had the slits, so that was
like,
probably...
Yeah, I guess that's fair.
But then, like, he
Gordon,
fights her.
This time.
So Deimos kills Brasidas, and you're like, oh, hell no. And then you are fighting Deimos, and Deimos is, like, impressed with your fighting ability.
He's like, wow, that's great.
And then he gets shot in the back
by an arrow from Cleon. Who, okay, it's so funny, and he shoots him, and then he, like, Deimos goes down, and you're looking at Cleon across the way, and Cleon's just like, oh shit, and then, like, runs away.
And, like, goes in the
Did
ocean.
He not expect you to be there? Like, that's my question.
I think he thought that you
were still in Athens or something?
I don't know, because
he has to
see you as you're
propaganda.
But I'm like, where are you going, Cleon? You're not going to swim through the Mediterranean.
He can't, in the book, he, like, can't swim. He, like, tries to swim, and you just, like, drag him out of the water. I say you, because you're Cassandra.
Yeah.
I know that confuses people when I bring it up, but... Yeah, she throws him to the ground and puts him face deep in the sand until he can breathe no longer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she kills that dude.
You have to kill that dude. You have a choice to kill him really fast or to kill him really violently.
He's also not doing anything great for Athens, so...
You can do side quests for him, though.
Yeah, I didn't get all the...
I did, like, one.
I didn't get them all. I didn't catch them all.
I didn't remember him from Antigone, so that was my fault.
No, that's a different dude.
Oh.
Yeah, that's Creon. Shit. He's the king of Thebes.
My bad.
This is
Cleon.
Creon. The ruler of Athens after Pericles dies.
Cassandra then returns to Sparta and is greeted by her mother.
We did it, Mom.
We finished the game.
But your son is dead.
Yeah, he got shot in the back, and he might be dead. We don't know, though. So then
I think it's assumed that she's like, I couldn't bring him back. So it's like he's assumed to be dead.
I think I said to her, I was like, I mean, I couldn't find him anymore, so can't help you there. They go back to the mountain where she got thrown off.
We go back to the beginning.
To Ghettos. And Deimos is there.
He's like, I've been waiting for you this whole time.
Standing there, waiting.
I knew eventually you'd come back to this.
How long?
What if you never went back there? I would never go back to the place I was thrown off a mountain.
He just hangs out there all the time waiting for you.
And then his mom's like, oh, I love you, son.
Yeah, my son.
And he's still conflicted at this point, which is dumb.
Yeah. In this version of the story, he tries to kill her and you kill him, Cassandra. Sorry. I'm so used to talking about games.
You killed Deimos?
In the book.
Oh yeah. Did we?
In the book, you kill him.
I think we did, yeah. And that's why I was like, that's not what happens.
I mean, it could be what happens if you mess up the dialogue.
Oh.
Yeah, forced into a battle with Cassandra. Yeah, I'm used to talking about games in, like, the first person because you're playing the character.
Oh yeah, the spirit
it's a book.
halted right before his breath Please, no. I've done terrible things. He shook his head.
Yeah.
I told you once one of us must die. They shared a look then, and at that moment, the shared child, then Cassandra, had nearly caught him. A fresh tear spilled down Alexios' Sorry, I can read. Spilled down Alexios' cheek, mixing with the rain. I cannot be what you want me to be. His head shook slowly, his lips trembling. The weeds bear up too deep. She saw his hand move towards the edge of his greave, and she saw him draw a hidden knife. Because Cassandra's got some hidden knives that she definitely throws at people.
Yeah.
I tried to save him, Mother. I saw what happened, Rooney whispered. He is free now. Yeah, so you do kill him at the end. Because I was like, dude, he totally joined my boat posse.
Yeah, in the game, you can choose the happy ending where he just is like, cries.
He's like, you're my sister.
And I think that ending's kind of lame. Gotta be honest.
You'd rather kill Demos?
Yes, I would rather kill Demos. I think that's better for the story. Dude, there's no way.
He joined your boat crew, and he's like badass when you like attack other boats.
He has the same stats as all your other family members.
Oh, wow.
You get Marini, and you get him, and you get Stentor, I think.
Oh, I didn't bring him on the boat. I didn't like him.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely brought Alexis on the boat, and he's good at...
So yeah, canon ending is you killed Demos.
Well, I was uncanon then.
See, canon doesn't matter. Canon is whatever you want it to be. Mm-hmm. But I thought that this was kind of a better ending. I don't know. I just feel like it was kind of...
There's no turning back.
It was cliche, and then
you go see your father.
Yeah, in the game you all have like a meal together, and Stentor and Alexios like wrestles each other, and it's whatever.
It's weird, yeah. You're like, aren't you like in your 30s?
Spartans, am I right? A further year passes after Alexios'
He would have been
death.
in his 40s if it's 10 years later. But...
Yes.
Yeah.
So Cassandra travels to the island of Thera, and she meets her real father, Pythagoras.
In some super cool cave thing, like ruins.
Yeah, it's this really cool cave. He should have died 60 years prior, but his life has been extended by a special
magic
staff.
Which is the two snake things, which is now the symbol of medicine.
Ares or something?
Yeah.
Was that right? Hermes? No. Is it Hermes?
Yes. Ares is the god of war.
God of war. That's the bad guy cult thing that you can also fight.
Yeah, they weren't in here at all either. I definitely murdered all of them because they were awful people. They were like cannibals.
Yeah, they suck. They're just like your bandits that you can just kill and not feel bad about.
Yeah, awful.
So yeah, he dies 3 days after providing with the staff, which is different than in game.
He like dies like right
away. He dies
away.
Immediately after handing the staff.
But I guess you had a lot of questions, so it took you 3 days to ask all of them.
So like, do you have to hold on to the staff the whole time, or is it when you're like, I relinquish this staff, and you die? Because I feel like having to hold on to that staff the whole time for like hundreds of years sounds rough. How would you do that?
Yeah, I think it just needs to be near you. And that's like, so that was the other question that I had reading this book is, so the other people, the people that came before that have all the magical objects.
The Issue?
Issue. It's like not in here at all. Like, except for the very end.
The Issue isn't here. The mystical creatures aren't here, which is the coolest part of the main game.
Oh, Layla, that's her name. It's not Layla, it's Layla.
Close enough.
That's close. But yeah, so the Issue are not, like, you have to get the staff, and then she talks to you, and then,
Yeah, the ending kind of happened really fast, with the whole, like, meet your father, figure out the secrets, and then after
you hear voices that it sounds like your mom, and then it sounds like your dad, and he's like, I'm waiting at the River Styx for the ferryman, and I can still talk to you during this time.
And so you get the staff, and now you're immortal, and then afterwards you're like, I feel like visiting the Cave of Gaia again, where the cultists were, because there's no cultists left. And you go there, and there's like the pyramid there, and you're like, I'm gonna touch it. And then Aspasia shows up and is like, I'm the cult leader. But now there's a new order because you killed all of us. I guess in the game you can choose to kill her or not to kill her. Or join her. Or kiss her.
Whoa, that's too many options.
I know. All 3 of them.
She's awful.
Why? Like, if you're going to go kill all the cult, why would you join them all of a sudden? That's like the biggest 180 since your brother decided to join your family again.
Well, it's kind of like the I want peace, and that's why I was using. It's like, so that was one of the issues that I had with this book, is you don't see a lot of the characters' motivation. So she wanted peace and to use the cult to like make a better Athens, where some of the other cultists just like torture people and like power. But you don't see that motivation from her, that she's kind of pulling the strings all along. And you don't see that in this book. Like, she's there and she helps you. And so she doesn't seem like that bad of a person. But in the game, you find out, like, this was all her doing.
Yeah.
And, like, she put all these people together. She knew who they all were. And, like,
also, she killed Phoebe, in a way.
yeah, because she sent the cult after them because she knew that it would affect you and, like, tried to turn you.
She's very evil. She also killed her husband.
Yeah.
And, she's manipulating this war, and she's just a bad person. You should not make out with her or agree with her thing. You should just kill her. And even if you do that, in this book, you don't destroy the pyramid, but you do in the game.
Yes.
Even if you join her, you destroy the pyramid, which is kind of interesting.
It's no one should have that weird power. I don't.
That was the thing with the Athens thing too, where your dad is like, I want to learn more about the society, and you're like, hey Dad, I thought you wanted the cult to not get this Atlantis knowledge, you know, like, shouldn't we close the gates? And I think in Assassin's Creed Odyssey, the journey is funner than the destination.
Well, because really the game, when it ends, doesn't end. Like, you have to do the DLCs in order for the game to really end and find out what happened. So the DLCs are worth playing. They are definitely a good story plot. They're worth the price too, because if they
buy them,
it takes a while to play them, and there's 3 different ones. So there's 3 different ones. There's 2.
I thought there was just 2.
I think there's just 2, because there's you go to the underworld, and then there's another one that's where you find out how Origins and Odyssey are connected.
And that is the entire story of Assassin's Creed Odyssey as told by this book.
And us.
And us, because we tell you about the game too.
Yes.
It was very chaotic.
It's a super fun game, though. If you like Assassin's Creed,
you'll get a lot of mileage out of it.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
It definitely takes several hours.
For $60, it's a pretty good bang for your buck.
It is. There's some fun, like
side quests.
It's funny.
It is kind of funny.
Did you get all the little clue things where you had to go to certain places?
What?
Do you know what I'm talking about? Like the riddles that you had to go and solve in certain places?
I don't know. The riddles?
Yeah.
I don't know the statues. Okay, the thing that bothered me about Assassin's Creed Odyssey was like half the quests in that game were like, hey, go do like a bunch of things in a row, and then you did all those things and you came back and the guy or the girl was just dead.
Oh yeah, the side quests.
That happened all the time.
They're like 3 different side quests. And we didn't even talk about Reza.
Nope, we didn't.
So Reza's in the book. In the game, because he's in Origins, Odyssey, and Valhalla. He is a connecting character between all 3, which that's weird because I guess he's
like
immortal.
Like Herc in Far Cry.
Yes. But
except for Far Cry 1 and 2.
Reza is he appears to be a little boy who is a trader, not traitor. Like, you go do side quests for him, and
like merchant.
Yes, he's a merchant. You can buy things from him. In here, though, he like randomly appears on the boat. Like, we talked about this before we jumped on here about like when does he appear, or is he always on this boat?
I don't remember. So
I just saw his name and I was like, wait, why is he on the boat? He's never on the boat in the game.
He's gonna sell you stuff.
So that was because he like kicks someone, or like, it was weird.
Yeah.
He refuses to oil up the testicles.
That's true. So yeah.
What are we reading next?
I would play the game. I don't know if I'd read the book.
Yeah.
Play the game.
If you're not gonna play the game, or
if you're really interested and you're like, okay, what from a historian point of view? Like, let's say history teacher. Interesting?
Yes. It is somewhat, events of the Peloponnesian War. Yes. I think if you're not going to play the game at all, then you can read the book. But I think if you're going to play the game, I would not read the book.
Yeah. Make your own decisions. Forget canon.
What's next time? What are we reading next time?
Next time, another Ubisoft book. Whoop, whoop. This one actually is an audiobook this time. Haha. Far Cry Absolution by Urban Waite.
And this is the prequel, right, to Game 5?
This is the prequel to Far Cry 5. This one has an audiobook you can get on Audible. And don't be a dumb butt like me and buy the French version, because Audible only lets you refund if you're a premium member.
Oh.
Hot tip. I was dumb and I did the buy with one click and it was French.
How well do you remember your high school French?
I'm not. I'm going to just buy it again. I'm going to say this is me getting punished for not buying a couple audiobooks when I was younger and just listening to them on YouTube. So
well, you were so excited that there was an audio this time that you could purchase.
I was too excited. I bought it in French. Don't be like me. All right, well, we'll see you next month. This is a long podcast.